Hi, let's sit together and talk about this week's Astro headlines. You're in the Transit Lounge with me, Vanessa Montgomery from Astro All-Starz with a Z. So yes, let's sit together. Let's sit together at the canteen in the Astro Transit Lounge. Guess what happens this week? Any guesses? Any guesses? One, two, three. It's Scorpio season. And you know what happens in Scorpio season? Halloween. What other sign has a huge party, even in the wrong season down here in the Southern Hemisphere, for all the themes that their sign represents? Scorpio does. Halloween, the Day of the Dead, all across the northern. So many different cultures celebrate this, and actually it's not this week, it's next week, but we all know those parties are happening this weekend, so we're getting in early. And I'm wearing my headgear, all right? Misunderstood Medusa. All right, on that note, actually, you can have a look at different parts of your chart and the many asteroids that we have. I don't usually use them, but I like to check. Sometimes, you can check significant names or points in your chart. So I actually have asteroid Medusa right on top of my midheaven. It's the highest point in my chart, so I'm going with it. All right, so it's Scorpio season on Tuesday. If you're in the US, and if you're in Australia, it's a Wednesday. So it just depends where you live. Obviously, we have hardly any aspects this week. So there's 3 exact aspects. Although obviously there's always aspects between planets applying or separating, but we like to mention when they're exact. So only 3. And those 3 are Sun square Pluto, Mercury trine Saturn, and Mars sextile Uranus. We'll get to them very quickly shortly. Let's talk about the new solar season as the sun moves in to Scorpio. So the sun is identity, what lights you up, your sense of self. And also it's a planet representing vitality. So anyone obviously born in Scorpio season has the sun in Scorpio in your chart or their chart. The rest of us have sun moving through a part of our chart that has 0 to 29 Scorpio on it on our birth chart. So check your birth chart and you'll see where the sun is lighting up in your life this week / month ahead. So think about Scorpio themes. It's the second water sign. It's a fixed sign, which means it's the middle of the season, and this season is autumn in the northern, which is where it gets a lot of its themes from. And of course, Halloween themes. It's all the same thing, really. Death, regeneration, the sun's dipping into a long night of long dark night of the soul, basically, a long depths of winter. So the leaves of autumn are really starting to show that they're drawing back the life force and dropping to the ground, which is death. And of course, we come to rebirth in the opposite sign of Taurus 6 months later, the opposite sign of Scorpio. But we'll also get to that obviously on the full moon during Scorpio season, which will be in Taurus. So if you want to know more about Scorpio themes and the rest of the signs, especially with the sun going through, pick up my book, Cosmic Power, Ignite Your Light, a simple guide to sun signs for the modern mystic. There's an extra layer where it shows each planet in a sign too. If you don't want to read it in that way, that's very scorpionic, isn't it? There's this extra code in there. So get your Halloween costumes on, get into it. What you're celebrating are the themes of Scorpio season. Witches galore, all the pumpkins during this season, of course, but not down here in the Southern Hemisphere. And I don't have that much for you with this. Libra definitely does work for our spring here. Now we're in the middle of spring and Scorpio season is upon us, but I think any person born in the southern at this time will fight you if you tell them they're not a Scorpio, because they do relate to those themes. So don't even ask me, because they're definitely Scorpios, not Tauruses, and I'm definitely a Sagittarius, not a Gemini, although I have planets in both. So Scorpio, buyer beware. Fixed, not just Taurus with the stubbornness. So all the fixed signs are super stubborn, aka they are built to last the distance. Scorpio in a water sign, it's more about emotional distance. They hang on for dear life, to their detriment. This sign is ruled by Pluto in modern astrology and Mars in traditional. So I take that into account, hence the fight you to the death, Pluto. Deep, dark themes that other signs, beware, warning at the gate. Honestly, how many Scorpios you see with the Scorpio tattoo? It's a warning for good reason. Like, really, do you want to talk about this? Do you really want to know? Because I'll tell you. That's what Scorpio's like. Or maybe they won't. Sagittarius will too, but Scorpio's going to go in even deeper. So if you want to know great advice on the deeper, darker things, topics that others can't really or don't really want to talk about, don't ask a Libra, ask a Scorpio. If it's, more challenging and it's the taboo, Pluto's connected here. And I think it's really interesting that one of the aspects that we do have this week, just before the sun moves into Scorpio, but during the whole week, because there's the build up and then the separation, is the sun square Pluto. So once that sun goes into Scorpio, it's still square its own ruler, which makes it double up on themes of Scorpio, but with a lot of tension to power. Real push to regenerate, transform, stand up for yourself. Maybe, someone might push you around. We might really resonate with something that we see in film or the news or on social media. Could be very triggering, and that's not hard these days, obviously. So that power struggle, especially to the sense of self, it might feel like that life and death. Life of the ego or death of the ego as well, if we're talking about the sun, or truly the vitality. So very interesting, lots of fun. Hug a Scorpio today. All the parties you're going to be seeing, obviously, are Scorpios having their birthday parties. So many happy returns being returns of the sun. Intensity, passion equals drama. This is a really intense sign, and that's fine. If you're a Scorpio, you know what? You were born for intensity and passion. Don't try to back away from it. Don't try to level it down. It is what it is, right? Just make sure it's in your best interests and you're expressing it and directing it in the most positive way for you. Growth, regeneration from the depths, the depths up into the eagle, which is actually a transcendent sign for Scorpio. All right, so we also have Mercury trine Saturn and Mars sextile Uranus this week. So Mercury at 13 Scorpio in a really flowing aspect, which is a trine to Saturn in Pisces, so more water signs. So Mercury is communication, ideas, thought, writing, and Saturn is longevity, long-term, structuring, stabilizing. So put those together for yourself. Really great to update all your comms and do it for long term. Think about long-term planning as well, especially on the emotional level or artistic, because they're in water signs. Mars sextile Uranus, Mars 26 Cancer. Another flowing aspect, sextile, is good as it sounds. It just needs a little activation and it'll work hard for you. Sextile Uranus at 26 Taurus, so that's like a breakout energy and doing something innovative with that energy, doing something new. So happy Scorpio season. See you next week. Stay cosmic and enjoy the Halloween parties. Yay, spooky season.